My parents treated Harper and me like a single show dog, split into two bodies. They were former child acting agents who honestly believed identical twins were a biological lottery ticket, and any slight deviation was a literal defect that needed to be aggressively fixed. The daily micromanagement in our house was psychotic. We wore matching outfits bought in bulk, slept in identical posture-correcting back braces, and were forced to chew our food on alternating sides of our mouths. So, our jaw muscles developed symmetrically. If Harper grew half an inch taller than me, I was immediately put on highly questionable growth hormone supplements, while she was restricted to a severe caloric deficit. I thought this was just strict parenting, but I had no idea how far they were willing to go. We were absolutely forbidden from having separate identities. I loved coding and building computers, but I was forced into elite ballet simply because Harper had the natural flexibility for it. If one of us got a haircut, the other was in the salon chair 5 minutes later. When we turned 15, puberty hit, and Harper naturally developed a slightly sharper jawline. My parents panicked. They immediately scheduled synchronized Botox and dermal fillers to force our faces back into perfect alignment. When we cried and tried to refuse the needles, my dad completely stripped our bedrooms. He left us with nothing but a mattress on the floor until we finally broke down and complied. We were trapped in this synchronized nightmare until a freak accident completely derailed their perfect project. Harper was working a summer job at a local bakery when an industrial steam oven violently malfunctioned. The door blew off the hinges, blasting her with superheated steam and boiling water. The accident left horrific, jagged third-degree burns covering the entire right side of her neck, shoulder, and collarbone. She spent 3 agonizing months in a specialized burn unit. When she finally came home, the heavy keloid scarring made her look fundamentally different from me. I naively thought this terrifying tragedy would finally break our parents' sick obsession with our appearances. I was so incredibly wrong. 4 days after Harper's release, my parents locked me inside my father's soundproof home office. My dad slammed a thick black leather folder onto his desk. Inside were high-resolution, grid-mapped photos of Harper's burn tissue, placed side by side with anatomical blueprints of my own neck and shoulder. "We located a black market specialist in Colombia," my dad said casually, crossing his arms. "He uses a highly concentrated chemical acid peel to artificially replicate third-degree thermal damage." I stared at the paperwork, my vision literally going blurry. They wanted to deliberately melt off my healthy skin just so we would match again. "We fly out on Tuesday night," my mom added, casually sipping her coffee like we were discussing a family vacation. "He's going to use a laser to trace the exact borders of Harper's keloids onto you." I knew if I screamed or argued, they would just medically sedate me and drag me onto that flight anyway. So I forced my face to stay completely blank. I nodded, pretending to accept the insane plan just so they would unlock the door. That night, I waited until I heard the low hum of my dad's CPAP machine from down the hall. I snuck back down to his office, grabbed a screwdriver, and forced open his locked filing cabinet. I didn't just find the Colombian clinic's address. I found bank wire transfer receipts and sickening email chains where my parents explicitly requested permanent, irreversible tissue destruction. I shoved all the documents into my backpack, crept into Harper's room, and clamped my hand over her mouth to wake her up silently. We slipped out of the first floor, laundry room window into the freezing rain and ran 3 miles in total darkness to the local police precinct. The night shift detective looked annoyed at first, but his jaw actually dropped when he read the printed emails. By 6 a.m., 6 squad cars were surrounding our driveway. My parents were dragged out onto the front lawn in handcuffs, screaming at the arresting officers that they were just restoring natural balance. My dad actually tried to argue that child abuse laws didn't apply to corrective symmetry procedures. The magistrate violently disagreed. They were denied bail on federal charges of conspiracy to commit grievous bodily harm and child endangerment. We live with our aunt in Oregon now.